Hey, you guys, anybody up? I'm going to show you a really exciting video of an air register in a hangar. This is really great. I travel all over the country to look for the correct air register. Now, the reason I'm doing this live video is to get any suggestions from you guys if you have it. I'm going to be going out to Detroit tomorrow. I took about 500 still shots and maybe a couple hours of video. And I'm going to be here tomorrow as well. Knock out some requests for some people. As I said earlier, this live sucks. The only reason I went on it now is because evidently it gives people an alert. And you can ask questions or give me requests or whatever. From that long, hard day's work, this is what I'm getting. 2018 Narwhal beer. This is my best video yet, showing you a good beer. So, I didn't realize until after about 8 crappy videos that people can hear me talk on here, and they can write questions and that kind of stuff. So for you 4 people out there that are watching this, how about asking me some questions so I can test this baby out? Where would you like me to videotape? Hey JV, what's going on? How you doing? Where are you at? Oh, 5 people now. You know, when I'm on YouTube just fooling around, I gotta check this live out. I never got any notices. Hey Carrie, how you doing? Arkansas, all right. That's one state I've spent some time on, but not a ton. Carrie, all right. Carrie, I've seen you've posted a few times. Yeah, it's great that you can get on here. David, yeah. Lithuanian, what is that? David Wanner? What is it? I'll do it. I'm not sure what it is, though. And I had some pretty good weather down here. It rained like hell later on, but it was basically a perfect day for photography. As I said, for people that just got on, I did about 500 still shots today, and probably an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes of video. I'm getting a little bit sick of doing video. And to be honest with you, you know, my main interest was like interviewing some of these girls that work the street. In that area where I go, it's basically been demolished. All the party stores where the girls could go in and out, they've been wiped out and turned into big giant large fields. They're making that new Gordie Howe International Bridge, and they're clearing that whole area using eminent domain to take the properties away from the owners and compensate them. So that area has changed so much, I think all the girls are gone for good. Nicole, all right. We finally, Nicole, I apologize for the other day. You know, I never tried that. Live before, and you were, you know, on this chat, and I thought, how in the hell am I going to chat when I'm driving? And then I found out later you can talk on it. And with regard to the guy that asked me about that spot in Delray, tell me where that's at in Delray, because I have covered every nook and cranny of Delray. It's my most interesting place. David Wanner, tell me where that's at. Off Verner Highway. See, Verner Highway would not be Delray. It's not considered Delray, so I'm wondering if you're a little mixed up on where the location is and what it entails. Because I will go over there and videotape it or take photographs, whatever you'd like. But it's definitely not in Delray. It's outside that geographical area. Hello, Nicole. Yeah, well, I know how to do it now. I'll tell you, though, Nicole, to be honest with you, this live sucks. I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go on live, but the video quality's terrible. I've got a decent phone, a Samsung S7, but it just moves around too much. You know, when you're videotaping, I try and videotape stuff that I think's interesting, and I don't start the camera until I see it, and I don't stop it until it ends. Where when you have a phone, you've got so much wasted time, and the quality of the video sucks. You can't put music to it, so the only reason I'm going on live now is to talk to some of you people to find out what you'd like or what you'd like to have me do different. It didn't work for me. Yeah, well, don't worry about it because you're not missing anything. I think it would work a lot better home because it's a fixed lens and you're right in front of it. But when you're driving, it looks like you've put the phone in a washing machine. It's just crap video, and then it saves the videos automatically. You know, I love the concept. David, are you talking about Lithuanian? Are you looking for a Lithuanian church? You know, I think I might know where you're talking about. It used to be a Lithuanian church, and it is in Delray, but it's not off Verner Highway. So, Nicole, don't worry about it not working for you because it's a great concept, like I said, but it's just, I don't know. It'd be good at a desktop, but I don't think it's too good driving around like I tried to do. Aye, it's the mayor of the Southwest. Not really. I tell you guys, my interest in Delray, I'm from a suburb. I don't live there anymore, and I've lived all over the place. But I'm from Flat Rock, which is about 20 miles south of Detroit. And my parents had moved when they were young from Connecticut. And my dad was a really cheap Scottish guy, and he worked at Ford Rouge, and he was an alcoholic. And you couldn't bring kids into the bar, so I'd sit out in the bar and I'd read these magazines and newspapers, and they were always talking about Delray. And Delray had a really good Hungarian group of original immigrants. They used to have bakeries. It was just fantastic. And even though I didn't have a close relationship with my dad, Delray always interested me, and that's how I ended up going back there. I've done photography for a long time, but just by accident kind of got on YouTube with video. And there are a lot of people with a lot of relatives that come from Delray. You know, that was eventually annexed into Detroit. So I just had an interest with it. And, you know, even though Zug Island spits out a lot of pollution, it just looks so cool at night. And by the way, anybody that likes Delray or likes Zug Island, believe it or not, and I've never done this before, I've ordered Christmas cards to wish you a happy holiday from Zug Island. I've had a billion pictures of it. I'm constantly taking video of it. I've known that guy that lives in that Art Deco red building that used to be a bar. Really, I'm obsessed with Delray. So if anybody wants a cool Christmas card, these are really top flight, nice, and they're large. They're 6 by 9 inches. I will gladly send you one for the holidays. I think they're really neat. I'd take a picture of one. I know they're in my mailbox. I just haven't picked them up lately. So that's why I'm in Delray all the time. But what I was going to say is when I was a kid, we would go downtown Detroit to J.L. Hudson's, and Detroit was like a big thing. My whole life I've read about it, and I've lived, I sold a business and moved to Florida. I still have a bed and breakfast down there in West Palm Beach, but I never go there. And I lived in Florida for a while, and then I moved to Chicago for about 13 years. I lived downtown, and now I live up in West Branch, Michigan, and I did that actually to help a sister out who was having problems with the business. And I may end up moving again, but I'm not really sure. Detroit's really changed, but I think it's kind of a I don't know, kind of a trick because it's only downtown and the industrial section. The rest of it, as you'll see in these still photographs that I uploaded, is really have some problems. JV, the video photo, yeah, I'll tell you why, JV, is because I don't think it's great. None of the stuff that I do is great. I've got a couple editing programs. I guess it's just because I'm so lazy. But when I set up to videotape a freighter, I'm usually sitting in my car, or I'm set up where I can brace myself, and I'll have the video running right before the ship crosses in front of it. I shouldn't say never, but rarely do I use tripods. So basically a monkey could do it. You just turn the video on and you wait till the ship comes in. It goes through and maybe you zoom back or something like that. The shipping industry, used to be 10 times more busy than it is now. They're shutting down some of the coal plants. I was thinking about going up to Sault Ste. Marie. I've been up there a million times because it looks cool when the freighters have, ice in the front and stuff, because they've only got about another month in the shipping season if the weather stays this way. If it doesn't and it's a warmer one, they'll go longer, but I'm not sure when they're going to shut the locks down. So that's why I'm always around Detroit, to tell you the truth. Just obsessed with it. If you look back at some of my older videos, you'll see where I went into all those abandoned buildings. That's off limits now. They will arrest you. They would arrest you then, but there were not enough cops. They've welded the doors shut. They've piled dirt to the entrances. If you look at that one crappy live video I did today, you'll see where I went by the Packard plant. They have security guards that they've had for quite a while. And part of the agreement when the guy bought it was that he had to paint out all the graffiti. And graffiti's cool, and I've got a lot of graffiti uploaded in videos, but it still is vandalism. If they were doing it in your neighborhood, I don't think you'd like it. So I don't have all the photo opportunities that I used to. Yeah, all gray, yeah. My sister owned that McDonald's all gray and never made a damn dime. She didn't make a penny the whole time she owned it. All gray McDonald's. It's closed now. And I don't know if McDonald's ever sold that business or not. All gray's dead, by the way. You probably know that already. As is all up north Michigan towns on the east side from Bay City north. Even Taos, which is kind of a tick up, is dead. There's Psyched Alone, 801. How you doing, man? Recognize your avatar. It's hard to read all these sometimes. Jetson Howell, I'm 28, and I would have loved to see Detroit in its prime. Yeah, I'll tell you, Detroit in its prime was fantastic. There are a million books out on it, and there's a lot of videos. Detroit was the place to live. But those days are long gone. My parents lived them. I mean, I barely met the tail end of the good days. And I had friends of mine that worked double shifts at McLeod Steel, which has been out of business for years because it paid better than GM, Ford, and Chrysler. And they would work one shift and not do shit, play checkers and chess. And they built lockers where they'd have single beds and sleep the whole time. Then they'd ask them to work a second shift, and they'd get double time. It was nuts. No wonder they went out of business. I lived on Campbell in the 1960s. Mary, it's interesting you lived on Campbell. If you look some of the early interviews that I did with Angel and let's see, pretty much Angel, the black girl that died from a fentanyl spiked heroin. That's the end of Campbell as it butts up to I-75. All that's been torn down. That's where that party store was, where all the girls used to go in and get pop and cash checks and that kind of stuff. So it's interesting you lived on Campbell. Campbell and what? Yeah, I was by there probably 50 times in the last 2 days. Zug Island's really hopping because the state's taken over most of the property. And they opened up I-75 both ways in the Rouge Bridge. Sad the McDonald's closed, yeah. Yeah, all gray's beautiful, but there's just nothing going on there. And as I said, that's the case of not just there, but the whole east coast of Michigan, all the way up to Mackinac City. It's just dead. Oscoda's dead. Sheboygan's dead. Is it Sheboygan? What's the one that's on the east? Rogers City. They're all in the tank. And we've had actually an unusually cold fall. I mean, there's ice down here, and I haven't seen it this early in a long time. David, you worked at McLeod, yeah. Did you know John Rosentreater? Or Tom Lezat? Or Nick Stavich? I snuck in and climbed over the fence about 5 times and went in and played checkers with the guys working at McLeod. I remember one time I didn't have insurance. I was like 19 and I was going to college. And I used one of my buddy's Blue Cross Blue Shield cards. Racked up like a $3,000 bill. Nobody ever said a word. Hell, I'd probably be in prison for doing that now. And people have asked me about videos in Windsor. I've done that before, but it's really not as cool as Detroit. David Eichberger. Yeah, man. I'll tell you what's happening is Detroit's doing better. Had a super cold winter, and that's about it. Not much. They're building a new international bridge. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Yeah, anybody that likes that old history, look up Del Rey and Google. Oh, you knew Tom Lezat, David? Did you really? So you must be a little older then, right? If you knew Tom Lezat. Now, he was actually my brother-in-law. You know, he was shot accidentally by a buddy, and they were playing with guns. Yep, he had... God, that was a long time ago. My sister, that's how she ended up, partially part of the reasons how she got those McDonald's. She was the first single female to own McDonald's franchises. And part of it is McDonald's at the time was on a kick to hire minorities and single females. So she was lent all the money for her first 3 stores. One was in Standish, one was in West Branch, and the other one was in Pinconning, and they were just fantastic stores. McDonald's would have never made those franchises. They would have made them corporate stores. But she made a ton of money and had a single kid. She was a single parent, believe it or not. He spent all the money, and they were forced out of business, and they're both broke after owning 7 McDonald's. That's actually why I came up north, was to help her. Does Detroit have any plan to change? No. Well, you know, the suburbs, Detroit isn't going to have much autonomy with. I mean, Dearborn's nice. Livonia's nice. Wyandotte is nice, although River Rouge is between that. Nah, you know, there's 2/3 less population in Detroit now than there was during the heyday, and they all struggle. The infrastructure was for a city of almost 2 million, and now it's about 673,000, so I would say no. People have traditionally moved out of Detroit for the last 50 years and headed north, northwest, and west. Yeah, it's just not the same. Let's see, my grandpa's from Sheboygan, all right. It's a neat town. There's just nothing to do up there. Chet, Marcy, McLeod. Used to go to the Brown Derby in River Rouge, yeah. You know, I don't know if the Brown Derby's still there or not. I was in River Rouge today as well. You know, it's hung in there better than some of the other suburbs. I go down there a lot. Rouge is neat. They used to be, as you probably know, powerhouses in basketball, Lofton Green. I was just reading about him on the internet yesterday. I came down here. Actually, I brought a friend down here to go to a funeral. So I've been just kind of hanging out, going to Detroit while she's taking care of her family. I don't think franchising... You know, franchising was good at one time. I mean, there was a time when my sister was making about 800 grand a year, and she didn't even need to get out of bed in the morning. But those days are gone. If you don't own a McDonald's, it's high volume. And if you own a small one like Rose City or Au Gres or East Allis, you've basically bought yourself a job. You're not going to be printing money like one off the expressway like she had. Those days are long gone. There aren't any good locations left. As a matter of fact, she's had friends of hers that have went out of business. Some are like in Petoskey, very affluent neighborhood where they can't get teenagers to work. In a place like West Branch where I live, I mean, it's adults that work at McDonald's now because there's nothing else. It's not just a teen job for experience that it used to be. But what are you going to do? Times have changed. West Branch is a beautiful town to live in. Low crime, low cost, everything. It's just, I don't know that I want to stay there long term for, the rest of my life. Not a lot going on there. I like being around a big city where I can do a lot of photography. You know, in this chat thing on this video when you're doing it, it's weird how it shows up. It'll show up. Jetson Howell, Rob Brown would love to see how the girls you interviewed. Well, I can tell you. Angel died. Kelly died. Angel died from heroin spiked with fentanyl. Kelly died from a heart problem unrelated to her job. Penny was murdered. And believe it or not, Tassie is doing well. She's living downriver. She works full time. She got off alcohol and drugs. She's in a relationship. I know she got one of her children back and couldn't be better. I mean, Tassie is everybody wrote her off, me included, but Tassie's actually doing well. Her sisters and she has gotten a hold of me. We're friends on Facebook. So Tassie's a success story. Shows you can do it if you put your mind to it. That was not easy. She really down in the dungeon for a while. What I was going to say though is this chat comes up and then it kind of disappears. So it's hard to read all at once. I'm not trying to ignore anybody. I'm wondering how the audio comes across on these, because I haven't played any of those crappy videos that I uploaded as live before. So I hope it's okay. Let's see, Kaylee. Did I miss why you were focusing on a register? Yeah, I'll tell you why. I'm down here. Took a friend of mine down here to a funeral. And there's really nothing to focus on. I'm actually going to go to bed in a little while. And this was a spare bedroom where they blew up a mattress because no one ever visits. And my friend's in the only bedroom. And her mother's in the other bedroom. So I got stuck with the blow up mattress. So that's the reason why I'm focusing on it. You know, that's another thing I don't like about live. Is when you set it up, they have it set up to where you're supposed to take a thumbnail shot of yourself before the video starts, which I think is stupid. See you, Dave. Yep, Tassie, that's a good story. I agree. Audio is good. That's good. So, yeah, I'm out of Grosse Ile. Yep, that's right. Been down here since Thursday night. The Grosse Ile's nice, but it's just like, you know, it doesn't interest me as far as photography, you know. Yeah, Grosse Ile. I used to come over here as a kid, too. Robert Jackson. Hey, man, what's going on? Got to go over there. And, Robert, where do you live now? Do you live out around here in Township? You know, every time I come down here, I just bought my yearly pass for the Metro Clinton Parks. I go out of my way to take my dog running around. Oh, Florida, yeah. I think I don't know if you were on earlier, but I have a bed and breakfast down there in Florida. Oh, Tallahassee, so you're up in the north part. You can get some of that frost and snow once in a while. Yeah, I lived there 5 years. I couldn't take it any longer. So you've had quite a contrast in moving from around New Boston down to Florida. The bed and breakfast is actually in Loxahatchee, Florida. 15 miles straight west from West Palm Beach. Yeah, you get a little cooler. I think Florida's got 3 temperate zones. Going to Orlando in February. Yeah, I lived there for about a month. It shows you how much the economy's changed. I sold a business in '92, moved to Orlando, built a really nice house. It was like 410 grand or something like that. Never moved into it. Sold it for 505 grand. And that's when I moved down to West Palm Beach. Shit, man, I wish I had half that money now. Those are the good old days. Another thing I used to do was I would buy free passes that people would get from flying on the airlines. I can remember getting them for $35 a piece. Get on the airplane, fly back to Detroit. No ID, no driver's lessons, nothing. Those were the good old days. Yeah, you wouldn't do that now. Somebody asked me about flying, too. I got my pilot's license a long time ago. I used to fly a ton, like maybe 300 hours a year. I owned a few airplanes, and hell, I haven't flown. And I think the last time I've flown a plane was 15 years ago. Shit, I'd probably crash one time. Oh, Ryan Wade, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, as I've said before, my content's like as low as quality as it gets. I push the old button and start driving around. Let's see here, Ryan, new to your channel, love your content, great. Mary Schmidt, Grosse Ile is in the Huron League. I played against him in the 70s. Yeah, you're right, yep. I guess I spelled it wrong. It's I-S-L-E. You have to change that the next video. I remember I've been spelling it wrong for a long time. I thought it was I-L-E, I-S-L-E. Okay. Yeah, it's a nice place, but you know, it's funny. You'll have like multi-million-dollar homes and then a shack right next to it. It's kind of an odd place. It's not like Birmingham or Bloomfield Hills. Um, as I said, I'm from Flat Rock, so I know all about the Huron League. Are you still living around the Downriver area, or did you move? Somebody asked me about going down to Monroe too, which I plan on doing. Another guy asked me about college. I went to Eastern Michigan. I went to Monroe Community College for a year, and then I transferred to Eastern Michigan. Robert Jackson, you could travel on someone else's. Yeah, easy. 35 bucks. They'd be in someone else's name, and they'd never ask. Bloomfield Hills. You know, I can go to Bloomfield Hills if you want. I'll do that. It's like everything's like super wealthy and everything's fantastic and manicured. And God, it just doesn't interview me like it does the hood. But I will do it for you. Move to Verona. Yeah, Valparaiso's nice. That's a good school. I know a guy that got a scholarship there to play baseball. Um, Nice place. Super expensive college. Let's see here. You know any musicians from Grosse Ile? I don't. I don't really know too many people from Grosse Ile, to tell you the truth. I came over here once in a while. We used to eat pizza at a place, but I kind of avoided it. And you know, for being an island, you think it'd be a great place to see a bunch of freighters, but you don't. I don't know why. I think most of them stop in Detroit and turn around. Let's see. Yeah, Monroe. You know, Monroe used to be a great place. Do you remember Cook Sporting Goods or the Monroe Diner or the Colonial House? Yeah, and there was a motorcycle dealer too on the south side, Jewish guy. I grew up in River Rouge in the late 70s. Yeah. So, Robert, you remember Lofton Green, the basketball coach. I was just reading about him on the internet the other day. He had like state championships for like 40 years. It's like crazy. You remember Guy's Pizza? I was a security guard when I dropped out of college for a year and used to order from Guy's Pizza all the time in the midnight shift. I guess they got caught selling drugs and went out of business. Let's see. What about your main topic you're talking about? What your main topic? Anthony Bash. Yeah, just kind of talking about Detroit. There's old Anthony. He's a good guy. He's from up in West Branch, Michigan. Talk about anything you want, Anthony. You know, it sucks getting old because all the good old things that I remember just are gone. WJR used to be a great radio station with good talk shows, and it's just crap now. People trying to be funny. Um, there's another guy's name coming up here. What's this guy's name? Is it Quintica TJM? Sorry about that. I'm probably slaughtering your name. How ILD is old? Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about, Kaylee. Uh, oh, I got it? Boy, it's hard to believe. I bet I won't get it the second time. So, yeah, that's about it, man. How old is old? Yeah, what are you talking about? Buildings, cars, or how old am I? Fishing at the park when I was a kid. Yeah, I just went and got some video down at Bellinger Park. Bellinger Park is still gorgeous. They got that little mini lighthouse. Yep, fantastic. Cook's, North Monroe and Colonial House on Dunbar. Yeah, had some good. Hey, do you remember Droulards on South Otter Creek? You win the bonus prize if you remember that. You're only as old as you feel. Yeah, I wish that was true. Yeah, we would swim. I don't know if you remember Henry Ford's hitman, Harry Bennett. He was the Union Buster. But there's a Chinese-styled pagoda home on Grosse Ile that used to have two big wells in the bottom. And I had a neighbor of mine as a kid that had one of those big wooden Chris Crafts with some big giant inboard engine. And we go over there, and he was always scaring us about bodies buried and the walls, and his dog would bark when he was in there. But Harry Bennett over in Grosse Ile is kind of has an interesting history. I guess you can go on tours of that. I would like to. But we would swim. Yeah, turtle soup, Mary. That's exactly right. You could get fried turtle and you could get sirloin by the pound. That's exactly right. I know you know what you're talking about now. I guess the kids didn't want to take that over after it. The parents either died or were gonna die or whatever. That was my favorite restaurant. Although a lot of places I know when you go back to, they're not as good as they were when you remember them when you were younger. But I want to spend a lot of time there, much as I could. Turtle soup, you got it. Yeah, Droulard, yep, was South Otter Creek Road exit. Yeah. Now, if you people that are listening, if you could, some of you have told me where you're from. I'd be interested in where you're living while you're watching YouTube. It's always interesting where people end up. I've been in quite a few places, but nothing ever seems to match like your home. You know where you came from. I seem to always come back for one reason or another. I'm from Detroit, but live in Windsor. Yeah, you know, that was always kind of my dream to live in Windsor. North Bay, Ontario. Wow. Yeah, Windsor's you know, if you live in Windsor, if you lived over there for a while, because I'm friends with the guy and his wife that own the Tim Hortons where I live in West Branch, and Ted Boomer's his name. He would put on that blues festival in Windsor, but he doesn't do it anymore. But they had owned that bar called California's that they sold a while back. Really super nice people. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, it's fun to get on here and actually some of the Polish places serve muskrat. Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know if they do anymore. In Grosse Ile, Wyandotte, Woodhaven, St. Pete. Yeah, I remember when Kmart's opened a store in Woodhaven, and we went over there, and I could not believe the fishing lures that they had in the sporting goods section. I don't know if that Kmart's is still open or not. Yeah, Windsor, I know near the bridge, I guess, is kind of rough. Highland Park, yeah, rich history there as well. Davison Expressway, first expressway in the country. I don't know about Highland Park now, though. It's really changed. A lot of crime. Yeah. Jackie Robinson. Huh. Oh, no more Kmart's, huh? I thought there were a few of them still kicking. The one in my town went out of business. Yep, sure did. No more, probably, yeah, probably not anymore. Yeah, I agree with you. Huh. So, did you keep your American citizenship even though you're living in Windsor? Or do you have dual citizenship, or are you Canadian that used to live in Michigan? Probably. There's a Kmart in Marine City. And it's still going. There was a guy I was played in intramural basketball with when I went to Eastern. He was from Marine City. He was a fantastic player. Yeah, it's kind of a neat town. They used to have a good antique store out there. My girlfriend sponsors me. Way to go. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that did that. He's getting old now. He was like the fifth guy to win that Fear Factor when that show came out. That's what he has, girlfriends that sponsor him. Did they ever take? Yeah, they did tear it down. It was a dog park for a while, and now it's kind of like a memorial, and I think they're thinking about putting a plaza there. Yeah, I'll go by there tomorrow. It's nothing Michigan and Trumbull, and that's you wouldn't recognize it. I have a couple old videos up when it was like half torn down. Yeah, things have changed. That really killed the bar business around there when they moved to the new stadium. They've tried running shuttle buses, but people just don't want to jack around with that when they go to a game. So it hasn't been very successful. Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you guys are up late. I swear, I bet I screw around watching YouTube videos 2 hours a day. YouTube's been great. I didn't even have TV for a couple of years because I was always on YouTube watching like UFC and basketball, whatever. It was great. Well, let's see, what time is it here? So it's like quarter to 11 here. Well, I think I'm going to go to bed pretty soon because I got to get up early. Did they ever tear? So the hood intrigues you. Yeah, it definitely does. I guess it's, on one hand, I'm wishing well for Detroit, and on the other hand, I like that abandoned building deal and that industry where it meets wildlife and that kind of thing. Yeah, new stuff just doesn't do it for me as much. I mean, if all those houses were worth $10 million each, it wouldn't really interest me. I'll go by there though if you want me to. I was in Indian Village today in Detroit, where there are still some nice houses, Jack White, Kid Rock, but I just couldn't get myself to record. I thought, man, this is like too boring. I was on my way up Kirchville over the east side of Detroit, where, as I said earlier, got a lot of photography done today. Service Tire on 20th and 21st. Wow. Yeah, that's a busy area down there. Hey, good night, too. Thank you. It's really busy. The Hispanics have really kept that whole area going. I give them a lot of credit. It's been that way as long as I've been alive. Great restaurants, the whole bit. Good night, Nicole. Thanks. Indian Village, but those homes are old. They are home, but I just saw in the paper one just sold for $1.2 million last week, which isn't much for mansions. I agree. All right, well, I think I'm going to hit the old hay tomorrow and do some more photography. I appreciate everybody tuning in. That's my dog snoring in the background. So have a good night. Okay, Robert. Yep, see the old MC headquarters, yeah. AMC, yeah. All right, thank you guys. You can always email me if you have any questions. Good night. Thanks a lot.